Hey everybody, Anthony Cofrancesco here from brainyflights.com. I'm currently coming to you live from Jakarta, Indonesia, and I'm right now sitting in my suite at the Ritz-Carlton Jakarta. So I figured this would be the best time, a perfect time to talk about this, the Ritz-Carlton Visa Infinite card. Now, if you've been watching my channel, you have probably seen that I've reviewed this card in the past, but that was a few years ago, back before this was a Visa Infinite card. Back then it was a Visa Signature card. And since then, a lot of things have changed. For one, the sign-up bonus, the annual fee, and some of the perks. So I wanted to take the next few minutes and talk about why I think this card is still one of the best value annual fee cards on the market that you can get today. So I'm just going to roll through, just like they have it listed on the Chase website, some of the benefits that I think are very, very valuable. But before we begin, let's talk a little bit about this card and what it is. So right off the bat, it's just another card from JP Morgan from Chase. And the sign-up bonus right now is pretty good. If you spend $4,000 in the first 3 months of having your account open, they'll give you 2 free nights at any Tier 1 through 4 Ritz-Carlton property. Now, this isn't as good of a sign-up bonus back compared to when they were giving 140,000 Marriott points if you would get the card, which was essentially good for 2 free nights, but you could use it at any Marriott property, which would give it a lot more value. That being said, 2 free nights at any Ritz-Carlton property, even if it's a category 1 through 4, is still tremendously valuable, considering that a lot of Ritz-Carltons are going to be well over $400 or $500 per night. So the big hurdle for a lot of people is the $450 annual fee. Now, back when it was a Visa Signature card, the annual fee was only $395. So the big question a lot of people are asking is that extra $50 worth it, and what additional benefits are you getting? Well, I'll tell you, the extra $50 is definitely worth it, and JP Morgan has packed in some really, really solid benefits. So the first big one that hasn't changed is the annual $300 travel credit. And essentially what that is every year, not on your card member anniversary, but on January 1st, as the new year rolls around, you get $300 to spend in that calendar year on airline-related incidentals. So typically this is going to relate to things like if you need to pay to check your bags, or you want to pay to get an upgrade on a seat. Those would be good examples of when you can use that $300 travel credit. Now that being said, unlike American Express, where you have to call ahead and designate one specific airline to use your fee credit for, the Chase Infinite program is pretty lax. In fact, you can call up, the way it works is you go and you swipe the card, or you use your card for whatever flight-related transaction there is, and then you simply call up JP Morgan and you say, hey, that $50 charge from Delta, that was for checking bags, can you take it out of my $300 travel credit? Then a few days later, you'll see it and it'll be deducted from your statement. Now, there's a whole long list of terms and conditions of what can and cannot be counted, but I'll tell you, the people at Chase are very, very lenient on this. In fact, I've gone as far as booking tickets that were cheap on Spirit or Frontier and saying that they were for checked bag fees, and I've gotten those charges taken off with no questions. So I would recommend on this one, just kind of push the envelope and kind of see what you can get away with. Another strategy that some people use that don't spend that $300 in incidentals per year is they use it to go and buy airline gift cards. So they'll go onto delta.com, they'll buy $50 of gift cards, and they'll say that that was for a checked bag, but really what they're going to do is they're going to get that gift card and use it to buy tickets. Another really important thing to remember that you can use the fee for is for paying taxes on the ticket. So if you're booking an international flight, for example, this won't apply as much to flights in the US because taxes are only $5.60 each way. But on international tickets, sometimes the taxes can be well over 100, if not multiple hundreds of dollars. So a quick, easy way if you're redeeming points, but you still have to pay taxes, the card will cover those fees. So right off the bat, just with that $300 travel credit, you're effectively taking your annual fee from $450 a year down to $300 a year. But wait, it gets a lot better. So the next one on the list is, it says treat yourself to a $100 hotel credit. And this is going to be limited to just Ritz-Carlton hotels on paid stays of 2 or more nights. So if you think you can go in, redeem points, stay at the Ritz-Carlton and get the $100 spa credit, that's not going to work. But you can use the spa credit, or not just the spa credit, rather it's a resort credit. You can use it at the restaurants on site, you can use it at the spa, sometimes at golf resorts. It really just depends at which Ritz-Carlton you're staying at. Now that's much more of a specific Ritz-Carlton benefit, as is the next one. So 3 times per year, you get certificates that you can upgrade from a base level room up into the club level room. And that's exactly what I've done this evening. So right now I'm sitting in a club level room. It's a much larger size suite than their base level room, but the most important thing about it is you get access to the club lounge. And the club lounge is very similar to the airline VIP lounges, where they have seating areas, good Wi-Fi, sometimes meeting spaces. But at the Ritz-Carlton, they tend to be a little bit more extensive than that. So they'll start off with breakfast in the morning, sometimes have some kind of a light lunch, and then dinner with drinks, cocktails, and tea into the evening. I just sat down at the one upstairs, and it had a very extensive spread for dinner, and I kept getting offered more and more wine. So I'm really not complaining. That's a good benefit, but again, that's really only if you're going to be staying at Ritz-Carlton properties. And keep in mind, that's only going to be valid on paid stays. So if you're staying a lot at Ritz-Carlton, those second 2 benefits rather might be a little bit more geared towards you. Now, for those of you thinking, well, I never stay at Ritz-Carltons, they're too expensive, or I just prefer another hotel chain or another hotel brand, don't worry, there's still a lot of good value to be had in this card. And one of my favorites is, and this is a new one, and in fact this is specific only to the Ritz-Carlton Visa Infinite card, is you get a $100 flight credit on domestic flights, so flights within the USA that are round trip for 2 tickets or more. So let me just recap that because it might have been confusing. If you're flying anywhere in the US and you're buying more than 1 ticket, you can get a $100 credit every single time that you book a flight. And the really cool thing about this is this perk is completely unlimited. You can use it as many times as you want. So if you're traveling consistently with your spouse, with your partner, or with members of your family, with your business partner, you're going to get a tremendous amount of value out of this perk. And one of the best examples, one of my favorite examples of using this was when JetBlue was having a flash sale, and they had $60 flights from Jacksonville up to Washington, D.C. And I bought 2 tickets for I think a total of around $117. I'll include a link in the description to that video. And so for about $117, I got 2 round-trip tickets from Jacksonville to DC on JetBlue, and then I went through the Visa Infinite portal to book the tickets, and then I got a $100 discount. So if anyone can do the math there, that's $17 for 2 round-trip tickets on JetBlue. That's pretty hard to beat. And like I said, that perk is unlimited. You can use that over and over and over again. So the next few perks on the website, they're all centered around earning points. And if I gotta be completely honest, the Ritz-Carlton card, I wouldn't put all of your spending transactions on it, just because unless you're unless you're really frequenting Marriott, SPG, or Ritz-Carlton properties, there's many other cards that are gonna give you a better bang for your buck in terms of every time you swipe earning points. That being said, you'll earn 5 points per dollar spent at Ritz-Carlton properties. You'll get 2 points per dollar spent on any travel and dining establishments, and then 1 point per dollar on everything else. Now, that's definitely not going to sell you on this card, and it's honestly probably some of the lower value perks on the card, so we'll keep going on. So the next one is there's a global entry waiver, essentially, that if you, once every 5 years, you can go and purchase a global entry, which costs $100. You can go and purchase that global entry, and you can renew it every 5 years included in the card. Now, one thing I wish I would have realized starting out is that global entry fee, if you designate it to be so, is separate from that $300 annual travel credit. So not only do you get $300 a year to spend on incidentals or to buy lounge access programs or similar things like that, but on top of that, you also get a $100 credit for global entry. So even if you already have global entry, if there's someone in your family, one of your friends who does not have it, you can still go out on your card once every 5 years, and you can go and purchase that global entry and get full reimbursement for that $100. So pretty valuable stuff. Now, one little known perk that no one talks about, and that I've actually done with a couple of my friends, is that you can add authorized users on this card with no fee. Now, that's not that surprising, but what a lot of people don't know is if you call and ask, you can get all of the benefits that you have on your card for your authorized user. And yes, that includes the $100 flight discount. And yes, that includes Priority Pass, which I'm going to talk about in a minute. I actually have a friend of mine, he has a Priority Pass and he consistently gets into lounges, and we didn't pay anything to have that extra card sent out. All I had to do was call Priority Pass and request it. I don't think that's going to last for too long because it's almost too good to be true. Every other card, including the American Express Platinum, charges almost $75 to $100 per authorized user. So the next part is going to be, you're going to get gold status with Ritz-Carlton. Now, if you don't know, Ritz-Carlton has always been, for the last few years at least, has been a part of Marriott, but Marriott recently acquired SPG. So because of the status match program between the three of those programs, Ritz-Carlton Gold status is going to equal Marriott Gold status as well as SPG Gold status. That has the potential to be very valuable. So the next part is a part that I think is probably one of the most valuable perks of the card, and that is this. Priority Pass membership. And what this is it gets you in to VIP airport lounges. And so you're probably asking, what are VIP airport lounges and why do I want to get into them? Well, typically the only people who normally get into VIP lounges are folks who are flying first or business class. However, if you have a Priority Pass membership, you get unlimited access into over 1,000 lounges worldwide. And the reason that lounges are so cool is because they have a variety of different perks. So at the very minimum, lounges are going to have solid internet connections, good seating area, a place to charge your laptop or phone, and then on the higher end they'll have things like showers, places that you can sleep, full buffets of food, and they almost always have free bars that you can go and get complimentary alcoholic and soft beverages at. So lounge passes on a daily basis, if you were to go and purchase them, cost anywhere between $30 and $50. And so I think a Priority Pass annual membership costs something in the ballpark of about $400. So this is an incredible amount of value to be had. I know that I personally love when I land to a new airport or I'm arriving at a new airport to be able to stop into the lounge before I go off into the city, grab some food, maybe if it's been a long plane ride, have a chance to shower, take a nap, kind of get my bearings together before going out and trying to tackle the next adventure. If you've never been in an airport lounge, once you start going in them, you're never going to want to sit in the terminal again because you're out there, you're fighting for seats, it's crowded, it's noisy, it's not fun. You'll kind of get a little bit spoiled, but it's definitely worth it. So I think just between the $300 travel credit and then the Priority Pass membership, I would say that is enough value to justify the $400 annual fee just for me. But keep in mind, we're still adding on that $100 flight credit, and we're going to get into some even better perks in a second. So one of the perks that's kind of a non-monetary perk that you really can't put a dollar value on is the fact that you have access with the Ritz-Carlton Concierge, or it's actually the Visa Infinite Concierge. And essentially what that is there's a number on the back of your card, and when you call that number, the person on the other end of the line is a very well-trained customer service kind of virtual assistant that can do just about anything that you ask them to do. So I've asked them to do things from going and researching different ways to get from point A to point B in a city, to make recommendations for dinner, and to pretty much do just about anything you want. The only real limit to the Visa Infinite Concierge is your imagination. Sometimes they can get you into shows that are sold out, or they can get you experiences that, you know, if you have the idea that you really want to do something, you can let them know and they'll see what they can do. You'd kind of be surprised what they return with, and every time it's kind of cool. They send you an email and a PDF with very detailed analysis of the request that you asked for. So that's kind of just a fun little perk. Some people use it more often than others. I used to use it a lot. Now I tend to not use it so much, but it is a very useful perk. So one of the last ones listed on the website, before I get to my favorite perk, is no foreign transaction fees. And that's really, really basic on any card that has an annual fee above probably $75. So all that means is if you're swiping this card in a foreign country, you're going to be charged as if you were swiping it in your home country, or if you were swiping it in America. Now, an important thing to keep in mind is that always remember to pay in the local currency. So right now I'm in Indonesia. If I had the option at a merchant to pay in US dollars or to pay in rupees, obviously I'm going to pick the local currency. Otherwise, even if I'm using this card, they're still going to do something called dynamic currency conversion, or DCC, and they essentially tack on an additional 3% fee. So always remember, pay with the local currency, not with your currency at home. So the last perk is pretty fantastic, and it really makes traveling suck a lot less, I know, at least for me. And those are the really valuable Visa Infinite travel protections. So there's a handful of these different travel protections, all with tremendous amount of value. So one of the big ones is you have accident insurance for your trip. And when you're checking out on your flights, you'll probably see that. That's the last checkbox that you have to either check yes or no to, and it'll say, do you want to pay $15.99 to insure your trip? The cool thing is, if you're out on some kind of vacation that you've booked with your Ritz-Carlton card, they give you something close to $500,000 in insurance to go and cover, loss, pretty much any kind of medical issue that you can imagine. So the coverage is pretty widespread, and you can look a little bit more in the terms and conditions to find out exactly what that covers. Now, another one that I'm very familiar with too, in fact, is the lost luggage, and then also trip delay or cancellation. So the lost luggage, essentially what that states is, if your luggage is lost, you can go and file to get up to $3,000 in reimbursement for things that were inside of your luggage. And additionally, if your bags are delayed, so if they get lost by the airline, moved around, and they're delayed by more than 4 hours, you can actually get $100 per day to go and purchase yourself new clothes until you get your suitcase back. That's pretty sweet. So every time I fly, I'm kind of hoping that the airline's going to lose my bag or misplace my bag so I can go on a little bit of a shopping spree. The next one is the flight delay or cancellation. And this is incredibly beneficial, especially if you're up in the road a lot with uncertain conditions. And pretty much what that rule states is, if your flight is delayed by more than 6 hours or it requires an overnight stay, you can spend up to $500 per ticket to reimburse your expenses while you're waiting. So I recently took a flight to Chicago. I was traveling with a traveling companion of mine, and we were both really hoping. The weather was terrible, and I was crossing my fingers that we were about to get the flights canceled, or hopefully even delayed enough to cash in on that benefit. Because between the two of us, we would have had $1,000 to spend in Chicago that night, staying at the nicest hotel you can possibly imagine, going and grabbing some very good food, and I don't know, maybe taking a limo between the airport and the hotel. But you get $500 per ticket, and that's a pretty fantastic benefit. The last one that I'm going to mention that I really like a lot is anytime you're renting a car. And this is why I think it's important to have the Ritz-Carlton card, or at least a Visa Infinite card if you're traveling consistently. Because every time, it doesn't matter, even if you're doing an award booking and you just pay for the taxes and fees with the Ritz-Carlton card, that trip is still going to be covered under the Visa Infinite travel protections. And that's really good news. So the same thing applies to rental cars. Anytime that I'm renting a car, I always put it on my Visa Infinite on the Ritz-Carlton, because they give you $75,000 of primary rental insurance. And unfortunately, hopefully my parents are not watching this video, unfortunately I was driving a car at one point. I was in Colorado driving a Mustang. It was a rear-wheel drive car. I know, not too smart, but hindsight is 20/20. I totaled it on the highway and cost almost $7,000 of damage to the car. If you saw the pictures, it was devastating. But the good thing is, out of those $7,000 in damages, guess how much I paid? Nothing. Because I had primary rental car insurance, because I put it on my Ritz-Carlton card, and even though I had actually used a free rental day certificate from National Car Rental to pay for the rental, because I had paid the excess, which was only maybe $25 or $30 with my Ritz-Carlton card, and I was a little bit worried, but that fee was still 100% covered. So I just filled out an application form online, sent it all to National, sent it to the insurance company, and it all got paid, it all got sorted out, not a dime from my pocket. So just there, right for me, I'm gonna keep this card for the next, I don't know, 15, 20 years, just because I've already gotten $7,000 of value just within the last month, because they were completely covering my ass on that transaction. So the last perk, and this is a little bit superficial, but this is a card I always love to show people. They're going to think you have a lot more money than you do, and if you actually do have a lot of money, then I guess even better. But I'm just a 22-year-old kid. But It's a full metal card, and even other cards from Chase that are the little bit heavier cards, this one is a complete metal sheet. The weight is very, very heavy, and it's completely metallic. So it's a superficial perk, but when you do hand it over to people, they do look at you a little bit differently. And if you're ever trying to pull something that's a little bit maybe out of the norm, I like to pay for it with my Ritz-Carlton card and maybe act like I'm supposed to be somewhere that I'm not. So that's that. I hope that you enjoyed the review on the Ritz-Carlton Visa Infinite card. I still think it's a fantastic card to have. I think it is a strong bet, even for the $450 annual fee. Keep in mind, you've got that $300 travel credit, you get the global entry reimbursement, and then on top of that, every time that you want to get 2 round-trip tickets, you're getting a $100 travel credit, you're getting VIP lounge access, not to mention some of the incredible travel protections from Visa Signature. So, Visa Infinite rather. So, if you have any questions, hopefully that was helpful. If not, let me know in the comments below how I could be more helpful into the future. And if you have any questions, shoot me a message, comment below, and I'll be sure to answer them in the following videos. So, until next time, thanks so much for watching. Bam!